best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, here we are again. My long weekend did not feel terribly long, much as I wish that were not the case. But here I am again, alongside Grayson Singleton, getting ready to dig in for another hour of OU football and recruiting talk here with you on Locked In. Brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Great service advisors out there, phenomenal sales staff, great prices, obviously the ultra-reliable Buicks and GMCs, as well as half-price oil changes on Saturday. Check out Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Well worth the trip out there. Mr. Singleton, what did I miss? Fill me in.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you already know what you missed.
In general, I think that's true. First and foremost, how did the show go on Friday and Monday? Who did you do it with? Was it Tyler?
It was Tyler.
Okay,
Tyler both
sweet.
times. I mean, I thought the show went great. Let's ask our people for 405-651-3439.
Okay.
Yeah. If you hated the show, let us know.
Or if I need to be phased out, let us know.
We can't phase you out. No, it was good. It was good. Deuce Gerald's visit provided a lot of content.
Yep.
Jaden O'Neal's comments to the Osceola certainly provided content as well. And I guess I said the word girth in both shows.
In both shows?
Yeah.
Wow.
I totally forgot I had said it on Friday. I did say it yesterday when we were discussing that Oklahoma still needs to get bulkier on the interior for basketball.
And don't tell me you said they need to get girthier.
I said they needed to add more girth.
Okay.
I did not say girthier.
Not surprising, based on the general demeanor of the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, that was met with jokes aplenty.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I'm sure it was. We have a good time on this show. We truly do. By the way, Eugene, Oregon, beautiful place.
I was about to ask you, how was the trip?
Beautiful place. I suddenly understand the allure of the University of Oregon, besides the money.
Did you go to the campus at all or not?
I didn't get to. I really wanted to over the course of the weekend, but unfortunately the way it was I'm there with my wife's family. You know, she has 7 siblings. She's one of 8 kids.
Really?
So she has a large family. They weren't all there, but the majority of them were, and we're all together in this big Airbnb. And we had 2 rental vehicles, neither of which I was licensed to drive. And so I was kind of at the mercy of the chauffeurs, if you will.
Sure.
And none of the chauffeurs had any interest in going to the campus of the University of Oregon. That was the only thing I wanted to accomplish in Eugene and couldn't. That was unfortunate. But, yes, beautiful area of the country. The Pacific Northwest gets my emphatic stamp of approval.
I say I've got family up there, so I'd hope to go up there.
If I was getting paid 6 figures to play football at the University of Oregon versus getting paid, I don't know, slightly more to play in Columbia, Missouri, just to pick one example, yeah, give me Oregon all day.
I'll take that
all day. Temperate, picturesque, great topography, water everywhere. Love it up there. Would return.
A texter in the 918. F Eugene and all of Oregon. We will never forget 2006.
Yeah,
Why do you make that sound
know.
like 9/11?
Because in the minds of Sooner fans, it touched their hearts in a way that 9/11 basically it's like the closest thing to 9/11 that any Sooner fan that didn't have someone that was personally victimized by 9/11 will ever experience. It was the Gordon Reese game.
Yeah.
I remember it. I was 7 years old. I remember it. To this day, one of the most inexplicable, unfathomable blown calls I have ever seen on a football field at any level. Oklahoma was on the losing end of it. I mean, Bob Stoops talked about it a few weeks ago. And
Yeah, he
said
did, yeah.
He was throwing stuff in his office when he got the chance to watch it back on tape. But, yeah, that was an ignominious day in the history of Oklahoma football. But loved it up in Eugene. I did not get the chance to listen to the show either Friday or Monday because I happened to be on planes during the show Friday and Monday. So glad to hear it went well. I'll tell you how my Friday went. We flew out. I want to say we left DFW. Our flight, we got direct from DFW to Eugene. So we drove down there Thursday night, got up early Friday morning. We flew out at like 10:30 in the morning. Maybe.
Okay.
And, you know, it's a long flight up there. So
Yeah.
I think by the time we touched down, you guys were just getting off the air, and my phone was blowing up the second I got cell reception again over Devon Mitchell.
Okay, I was about to say, did I say something that was totally off base? They had to go to you for damage control?
I guess whenever I get on a plane, Oklahoma gets big news, for better or worse. When I got on the plane Monday, I touched down to the news that Tate Davis had committed to OU basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's significant. But the unfortunate aspect of the Devon Mitchell situation is that it was not a surprise to anyone, Grayson. I know we've had conversations here in the office, and even before this spring, it had been a very commonly known thing behind the scenes, and it had been acknowledged in so many words by Brent Venables and other members of the program that Devon Mitchell was just immature. From the time he got to OU, maturity was a problem, and apathy was a problem for him. There was just an unwillingness to kick himself into gear and legit compete for that starting role at tight end and take his obligations and responsibilities seriously. There was not a time in the 15 months that he was at Oklahoma, Grayson, where he was not regularly missing workouts and team meetings. In fact, it's been a few days. I feel like I can take the paywall down on this one, but this is a story I told to members over at OUinsider.com immediately upon hearing the news Friday. I mean, I was typing this out as I'm sitting in the back of a rental car in Eugene. Devon Mitchell, last September, very briefly started to turn a corner. And it was right about that time that Brent Venables was asked about him in a press conference, was asked about Mitchell and his progression and how he was doing. And Venables gave a long, detailed answer about how, hey, he had to learn some things the hard way. He probably wasn't as mature as, and he would acknowledge that he probably wasn't as mature as he needed to be when he showed up, but we're starting to see some progress. Now, that was true. That absolutely was true. In fact, when early October rolled around, the plan going into the week of the Red River rivalry, Grayson, was to integrate Devon Mitchell into the game plan. He was going to debut. He was going to make his very first appearance in an Oklahoma uniform. And then midweek, I forget what day it was, midweek, he just went completely AWOL for a day. Missed everything. Meetings, workouts, practice, everything. Just like gone for a day.
Would he just take a Dennis Rodman hiatus or something? Like,
I guess, but that was par for the course with the Devon Mitchell experience. Unexplained absences, right? And so he no-shows for an entire day of team activities. And needless to say, at that point, it was right back to square one with that kid. He did not play against Texas. He did not play the remainder of the season. And then, of course, in the bowl game against Navy, when it felt like literally everyone saw the field,
Yep.
Devon Mitchell still didn't get a single snap. And in the aftermath of that game, to his credit, he went to Twitter and he took responsibility for his inaction throughout his freshman season. He said, look, it's on me. Don't blame the coaches. Don't blame BV. Don't blame Coach Finley. I'm the reason I didn't play. Said all this stuff about how I need to be better. I'm going to be better. And it was a great thing for the fan base to hear, right? a moment of self-reflection, a moment of vulnerability, acknowledging something publicly that he didn't have to go and acknowledge. And at that point, I think many felt that, okay, maybe this kid's on the verge of figuring it all out, putting it all together. And then spring ball rolls around, and that first roster hits, and you see Devon Mitchell listed at 6'4", 275 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
275 pounds? And then over the next few weeks, come to find out he's not even really getting reps in a tight end room that features a former FCS walk-on in Carson Kent, a D2 transfer in Will Huggins, a converted linebacker in Jaron Kanik, two guys that have been continually injured throughout their time at Oklahoma, and Caden Helms and Caden McIntyre. And look, any one of those five guys that I mentioned might turn out to be a really good player at the University of Oklahoma. They might turn out to be a very valuable commodity at the tight end position, but we haven't seen any empirical evidence to support that.
Nope.
It's a shot in the dark with all five of those guys on an individual basis. And so there is so much unknown in that tight end room right now, and that group as a whole has just been screaming, begging for somebody to seize the reins. And the common thought was, well, if anybody can do it, if anybody's physically capable of just waltzing right in and grabbing the bull by the horns in that tight end room, it's Devon Mitchell. And not only did he not do that, Grayson, but we're not even done with spring football, and he is already on his way out of town.
I mean, debacle doesn't even begin to explain it in the requisite way. I mean, I think the only way you can describe this is self-sabotage. That's the only way.
It's funny. I was on the phone, really, like for the first 3 hours I was in Eugene. I was constantly on the phone.
Your wife must have hated you.
Yeah, she was not thrilled, but, you know, she knows what's up at this point. There was one program source I spoke to that used that exact word, self-sabotage. That is what it boils down to. That's all it is. And it's been emphasized to me over and over and over by people, not just within the program, but outside of it, with knowledge of that whole situation, that have said, there is no one to blame but Devon Mitchell. They did so much for him to try and make this work.
And as I continue to think about this, because Tyler and I touched on this yesterday, the only thing now that can even begin to come close to explaining this is, does this guy need some help? Like, does this guy need some? And I'm not joking here.
Mm-hmm.
Does this guy need some sort of therapy? Because this is some mental stuff along the lines of the stuff that we eventually end up clowning professional athletes for on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no explanation to it. You're about to play in Red River. That's going to be your opener, is you get to be a part of the game plan in Red River, and then you no-show on Wednesday. And what's the significance of Wednesday? For those of you that don't know, that's install day, when you really install the nuts and bolts of the game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that nobody knows where he is pretty wild to me. And then he goes out and does that public apology, and then shows up at 275. I don't know if you people know this. Unexplained weight gain, which you said it looked great.
It did. Like, it didn't look like fat, but I'll give him that. He carried it decently well.
And an unexplained weight gain generally is an underscore of some other issue, of something else going on. So when you put all of those things together, look, this seems to be a situation to me where football may need to be the furthest thing from his mind right now, because something else is going on. That's the only way left to explain this level of self-sabotage when it comes to Devon Mitchell.
And, you know, I had multiple people that I spoke with that expressed similar sentiments, and that they expressed, look, I just hope that kid, if he's going to walk away from OU completely the way it looks like he's going to, just hope he can find a place, find people that support him the way that OU was willing to support him. I mean, that's what the Soul Mission is for. And you got to think about this, too. There's not a staff in the country, there's not a program in the country that's going to be more committed to making it work with Devon Mitchell than the University of Oklahoma, because they are the most invested in him. And I'm not talking monetarily, though that is true. This is a relationship that dates back years. 3+ years with Devon Mitchell. This is a program that has been sowing the seed, watering the bamboo, as Brent Venables would say, with this kid for years. There's a reason why they gave him so many chances. It's because this is a hard thing to do, to watch a kid walk away like this when you've invested so much into him, not just monetarily, but personally and relationally. Nobody in the OU program wanted this. It felt inevitable at a certain point. I would say 3 weeks ago, though, is when it really started to feel inevitable that, hey, Devon Mitchell's not sticking around at OU. And he may be served his walking papers at some point. Heck, I can remember folks telling me last March, I want to say, early on, I don't know if Von's going to make it to fall. It may be a very quick exit for him at Oklahoma. And obviously that didn't happen. Things turn around, and things always did turn around very briefly, over and over and over for Mitchell. But he was a guy that just kept getting in his own way. And again, Grayson, with where Oklahoma's at with the injuries to the wide receiver group, which we'll dig into, and just the lack of certainty as to who's going to be the guy at tight end, this was a very opportune time for Devon Mitchell to work his way into a critical on-field role for Oklahoma, and it is a very inopportune time for a talent like that to officially crash and burn. This is not where you want to be as a football program right now, offensively speaking.
No.
With your skill group. Tyson from Stigl on the text line says, it sucks that they wasted money on Devon Mitchell. Here's the deal, though.
I don't.
Brent Venables, they're wasting a lot. Every college football program is wasting a lot of money by most people's definition. Brent Venables said last week that 75% of the players on his roster, in his estimation, are making six figures. That's roughly 60 of 85 scholarship players, 60 plus. Do you think you could walk through Oklahoma's roster and come up with 60 players, even 30 players, even half of that in your mind, as an outside observer, would be worth six figures worth of investment?
Probably not.
I would say there is a next to 0% chance. So, yeah, you know what? That's money down the tubes, but par for the course in collegiate athletics these days. There's a lot of money that gets wasted on talent acquisition because the market for talent, the market for players is just so dang high and so out of control right now. All right, let's hit an opening timeout. We'll continue this discussion with all of you on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line on the other side at 405-651-3439 if you want to chime in via text. Yeah, the Giovanni Gibson injury, that's been a topic of conversation all day. We'll discuss that, as well as some of the key returns from Oklahoma's big recruiting weekend that saw several big-time prospects make it to campus on Saturday. All that and more on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Get ready for an unforgettable summer at the Young Family Athletic Center. Our summer day camps and sports leagues are the perfect way for young athletes to stay active, improve their skills, and have a blast. Whether your child is into basketball, volleyball, or pickleball, we've got open gym, leagues, and camps designed for all skill levels. Registration is now open for most summer activities, but space is limited. Don't miss out. Go to YFAC.com and make this summer one to remember.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
5 Iron Golf is now open in Yukon, Oklahoma. Escape the Oklahoma weather and play world-famous courses like Pebble Beach on state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators. Perfect your swing with expert coaching or just kick back with delicious food, craft cocktails, and a lively sports bar vibe. Planning a party, corporate outing, or fun night out? 5 Iron Golf has you covered. Visit 5 Iron Golf to book now and experience the future of indoor golf and entertainment in Yukon.
Oh, the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line always delivers. And it is doing so in real time here on Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton, talking OU football, and Crootin with you here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Well, Grayson, it's Groundhog Day again. Oklahoma can't get away from absolute carnage at the wide receiver position, man.
It's wild.
I don't know. I genuinely do not know what it is. And I wish I did. I wish there was some common denominator that you could point to. But with the sheer variety of injuries that these wide receivers have experienced over the last 8 months at Oklahoma, well, I guess you got to go back a little bit further than that with guys like Andrell Anthony, right? But
yeah,
we're having an entirely different conversation if you have like 6 sprained ankles or 6 pulled hamstrings. All of these injuries that these wideouts are suffering are different. They're all different injuries. It's never the same thing. Well, it's rarely the same thing. I guess if you're talking minor, groin pulls, stuff like that, you've had a few of those. But in general, if we're talking like the serious stuff, it's never the same thing.
Nope.
Never the same thing. And there's always very legitimate circumstances for the injury. I mean, most recently, like Giovanni Gibson gets rolled up on the practice field yesterday and winds up with a lower leg injury. I genuinely have no clue how Oklahoma is dealing with this again. We never thought we would see a rash of injuries, the likes of which we saw last fall for Oklahoma at the receiver position. But as I mentioned last hour, if you go through the Oklahoma scholarship chart right now, they have 13 wide receivers on scholarship, Grayson, and 10 of the 13, in the last 4 weeks, mind you, have dealt with injury of some kind.
I mean, I think it's time we can say this now because it's starting to happen. It seems very, very probable that what happened in 2024 could easily repeat itself again.
That's a wild thing to say at face value, but there's truth to it because, I mean, we're seeing it replicate itself in real time.
And
you expect, right? Like, right now, there's a question as to whether Giovanni Gibson's going to be ready for the season. I would lean towards the answer being no. All the other receivers you expect back. All of those guys should be ready to rock for fall camp, but Andrell Anthony should have been available all season last year. Nick Anderson should have been available from the Tennessee game on. Deion Burks should have been back by early November. Jalil Farouk should have been back by midseason. And so when the recovery timetables that we're given continually prove overly optimistic, what are we to expect other than that there will be numerous wide receivers that are behind the curve with their recovery?
I mean, here's what I'm thinking. I've continued to, ever since we found out the severity of Giovanni Gibson's injury in what you reported to Steely. The last question we haven't broached is there something going on with the playing and practice surfaces? That's the only thing we haven't thought of. And then we find out Giovanni Gibson got rolled up on. So that takes that out of the equation.
Correct.
I mean, this is, to borrow my favorite Stephen A. Smith line, there's a black cat running around here. That's the only thing left. Because this isn't like this is a soft tissue thing with some of these guys. These aren't repeated soft tissue injuries, which in that case you would just say, okay, there's just one guy that's snake bit and is injury prone. These are freak accidents. And I don't know. I know they say correlation is causation. Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is the definition of insanity. But these are freak accident on top of freak accident on top of freak accident. There's really nothing you can do about it other than legitimately crossing your fingers. That's literally all you have left. That and prayer.
Chris from Knoxville on the text line asks, what is our current roster scholarship number at? Feels like we need to grab 4 more transfer wideouts in the spring portal at this point. As of last check, Oklahoma has filled 83 scholarships. So there are 2 scholarships that are as of yet unaccounted for, and you can always open up additional spots by processing guys, which I expect to happen. There are guys on this roster right now that will not be on the roster a month from now, or 2 weeks from now, for that matter. Oklahoma's going to have more than 2 portal players that they add in this spring window. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. But Oklahoma has 13 scholarship receivers right now, as I mentioned just a second ago. 13. You do the math, Grayson. That's 15% of your roster right there. 15% of your scholarships devoted to wide receivers, and they're dropping like flies.
13 scholarship receivers and 7 scholarship tight ends, none of which we know are any good.
Man, it's
bad.
It's absolutely wild that this is where we're at. But this is where we're at. Tatum, the 918, says it all goes back to when Jason Fairs was let go in order to save money. Bet it has a lot to do with the playing surface. They all practice on the same fields. And given how bad Owen Field just looked on TV last year, can't imagine the practice fields are any better. I don't know. I know Jason listens from time to time. Maybe he can confirm. I don't think he was let go. I think he just left for the job at Dornick Hills. Which, you know, if I could work on a golf course for the rest of my life, I think there was a lot of appeal in a gig like that. Man.
Yeah.
Just get to enjoy nature, listen to sports talk radio while riding a mower for a few hours a day, in addition to other functions here and there. I did work at a golf course for 3 years, so I know how much that goes into agronomy and turf grass maintenance and all that type of stuff. But Jason's got a pretty cushy gig, and I know he enjoys it.
But, I mean, look at this, and the practice surface came up on the text line, Nick and Sepulpa. So with all those injuries, does the practice surface need to be reevaluated or changed? Here's the thing. Andrel Anthony got hurt in a game. Giovanni Gibson got hurt because he got rolled up on.
Jalil Farouk got hurt in a game.
Jalil Farouk got hurt in a game. They're literally, like you laid out, there is no common denominator.
No, and again, like, the Everest Center is turf.
It's turf, yes.
The outdoor practice fields are grass. Folks, don't get me wrong. I would love it if you could find any common denominator here other than the fact that they're all wide receivers and they're all injured. But that's where it stops. That's legitimately where it stops.
Do you think this? And now we're just throwing things out to the breeze because that's all we're left to do. Do you think it's because they transitioned from practicing in the Everest Center on turf to practicing on the outdoor surface that is grass? Do you think maybe that's too much going back and forth because on the muscles here or there? That's literally the only scientific thing that I can think of. Other than this is just a case of horrible luck.
Brian Bixby says wrap every receiver in bubble wrap and put them on the shelf until fall camp.
I mean, by the way, I don't know if you said this during the last 2 hours with Steely. It sure as hell seems like a blessing in disguise that they're not playing a traditional spring game.
Like, at this point, do you just quarantine Elijah Thomas? Just tell him, hey, go back home to Shakota. We'll see you in August.
Yeah.
You want to play with fire? You want to tempt fate?
Hey, man, we'll send you what we want you to do for weights and stuff. We'll send you a meal plan and stuff. Get the hell up out of here. We're just going to treat this like it's injury COVID.
Evan from Blanchard wants to know, is there any idea of the potential timeline on Jaden Gibson's return? Yeah, I'll be candid. Like, Jaden Gibson should be ready for fall camp, but that's not even the major question with Jaden Gibson. It's, is he at all going to resemble what he was in 2023? Because you are not only dealing with a severe knee injury that required a procedure last August, but an aggravation of that same injury, I believe, in late March, right before they started officially practicing. And so at that point, he will not have gone full thud, in the words of Mike Gundy, for almost a full year. And he's going to have a surgically repaired knee. And you have no idea what you can expect.
Almost a full 2 years.
What do you? Well, no, just one.
Just one. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I had my math wrong there.
It's okay. We don't get paid to do math. We got people on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line that can take care of it for us. SoonRx says, if we must make a sacrifice to the football gods, I will offer up the Longhorns and the Swamp Aggies as tribute. Who are the Swamp Aggies?
Who are the Swamp Aggies?
Yeah. I mean, only one I can think of would be Florida, right?
Right.
Are they the Swamp Aggies? Let me know. A 405 listener says, with the track record, he just needs to go ahead and file for Social Security disability benefits.
Damn.
405 listener says, the days of dressing players because of attrition at a position ended with Mo Dampier. You think Stoops would have thrown Mitchell out on the field last year? Probably not. Bob Stoops, like, in all honesty, with everything that was going on with Devon Mitchell, Bob Stoops probably would have told him at some point last year, hey, just go find somewhere else. But Brent Venables and Joe John Finley and everyone on staff at the University of Oklahoma, to their credit, and I do think it was noble the way that they approached it, they held Devon Mitchell's hand through it all as long as they could possibly hold it, and it still wasn't enough.
That brings me to this text from Glenn from Nashville. No, he does not need professional help. He will transfer to a program that will expect more of their players. I'm thinking Ohio State or Georgia or even Texas. And he will perform because he will be expected to. Too much hand-holding and coddling going on in this program, in my opinion.
Well, there are two ways to look at it. You can certainly look at it that way. Or, mindful of the fact that he probably won't get as much leeway at any other program as he did at Oklahoma, you could have the expectation that he washes out somewhere. We have no way of knowing. We'll have to wait and see. But who's to say it's not exactly the opposite, Glenn? There's another text I wanted to get to, and I lost it here now. Gosh dang it, I hate it when this happens. Love all of the interaction on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Don't get me wrong. I should have saved this one.
SoonRx has said LSU is the Swamp Aggies.
Okay, gotcha, LSU. That makes sense. Yeah, don't love the state of Louisiana. Evan from Blanchard said they didn't hold his hand. His hand was attached to a fork. Oh, goodness.
Is this Devon Mitchell or Zion Williamson we're talking about here?
Oh, and this is unfortunate because, like, I don't know if Devon Mitchell will ever realize it, but much like Mo Dampier and, like, Dalton Wood and several others, Trey McTwire, although that was a completely different flavor of bizarre, he's going to be the butt of jokes around here for a long, long time.
For a very long time.
Don't love that. Okay, folks. We need to take another timeout. When we return, it was a pretty big recruiting weekend for Oklahoma. Had several big-time targets in town on Saturday, a couple that were relatively unexpected. Where does this leave Oklahoma? Looking ahead to the 2026 cycle as they aim to get back on the board with a commitment for the first time since late January. We'll dig into that on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Bleed Crimson? Love great Sooner talk? Join the Ref Army by downloading our free app. Toby and TJ, Plank and Josh, Steelman and Thune, and Teddy and Tyler. We have the Sooner experts. The Ref is home to Sooner fans worldwide.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boys to Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
From the gridiron to the hardwood to the diamond, no one covers the Sooners like we do. If it's Sooner Sports, we have you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is the home of Sooner fans.
Ever wonder why someone would go to the ends of the earth and leap into the unknown? Maybe a better question is, what are you waiting for? Pacifico is brewed for those who follow their own path. That's living life anchors up.
Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
In the age of internet and all things fast-moving, it's hard to find people you can trust. When it comes to your home or business electrical systems, don't settle for anything but the best. Wade Electric has been serving Oklahoma since 1969 and will gladly address your electrical needs with diligence and professionalism. They specialize in service upgrades, exterior and accent lighting, power automation and controls, shop and outbuilding wiring, LED conversions, and more. Go with a name you can trust and call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940.
We all play a role in keeping our communities safe. Oklahoma is no stranger to attacks. It's now easier than ever. If you see something, say something. The free and anonymous Protect OK app allows instant reporting of suspicious activity, both in schools and the community. You can help keep your family and friends safe.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Download the Protect OK app today in the Apple App or Google Play stores. Funded by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
When students struggle because they are hungry
or fall behind because they lack school supplies,
a caring adult can make all the difference.
Especially someone from the community.
Someone who knows the students
and the obstacles they might be facing.
At Communities in Schools, our site coordinators surround students with a community of support
to ensure that they have everything they need to engage in learning.
We go all in for kids, all day, every day.
To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
All right. Back for one final segment here on Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you here on the ref. Grayson, you're going to have to catch me up because, as I mentioned, I did not get the chance to listen to the show Friday or Monday. How much did you guys dig into the Jake Michaela situation?
When we talked about it on Friday, we didn't have any notes from the visit.
Okay.
But we talked about potential impact.
Gotcha.
Of what he could have. How at center or a guard, versatility, experience, that kind of thing. But we didn't have anything from the visit. But I'm guessing you do.
I do, yes. I talked to Jake Michaela, I want to say that was Sunday evening. At that point, he was done with not only his OU visit, but his UCLA visit as well. And he's got 3 more visits lined up. He's going to be visiting Houston, North Carolina. Don't have Tyler to do the Mac Brown voice, but that's all I hear when I say North Carolina. And then Syracuse. Now, here's the problem. Well, I'll tell you what's working in Oklahoma's favor, then I'll tell you the problem. What's working in Oklahoma's favor is that Bill Bedenbaugh has a really, really strong reputation for developing transfers in particular. I mean, developing in general, right? But some of the work he's done in the past with transfers, guy like another Stanford alumnus in Walter Rouse, right?
Yeah.
He got Walter Rouse into the NFL draft as a 6th-round selection of the Vikings, onto a 53-man roster. And so you have that angle. You also have the necessity of adding a guy like Jake Michaela. And I do think, like, if Jake Michaela showed up at Oklahoma, if he signed with the Sooners, he could put some real heat on Troy Ever for that starting job at center.
We did talk about that too.
Yeah. I mean, that's very much on the table. And then the relationships, because he's former teammates with Luke Baklenko, who, of course, is now an Oklahoma offensive lineman after transferring from Stanford. And then he's former high school teammates with Gavin Sawchuk and Gabe Sawchuk. So there's familiarity there. He got to see and interact with all 3 of those guys on his official visit. But here's the issue, Grayson. When you position yourself as an institution to receive the first visit from a player in the portal, the hope is that you can get him to shut it down without taking any more visits. That is the hope. The hope is that he never leaves. The hope is that you can convince him not to leave. If he does leave, in general, things tend to get a whole lot more difficult as far as reeling him in. because then he gets to hear everybody else out. And not only hear their pitches, but hear their offers, financially speaking, that is.
Yeah.
So, the second Jake Michaela left campus, Grayson, things got a whole lot more complicated. To be honest, if I'm worried about one school here, it's probably North Carolina. Because, I mean, North Carolina has juice. They hired Bill Belichick, as we all know. I also think Syracuse, just knowing what I know about that staff and how effective they can be in slamming the door on recruitments when given the opportunity to get a guy up to campus, that's a concern. At this point, and it does sound from my conversation with Michaela as though he's going to be thorough and take all of his visits. What would have to happen is that he would have had to have visited Oklahoma, taken 4 subsequent visits, and then circled all the way back around, reviewed all of the relevant data, checked all of the boxes in his head, and decided that the very first school he visited was superior to the other 4 schools in the picture. That is not impossible. I'm not even saying that's unlikely, Grayson. But that's not something you count on in general when you're dealing with portal players. If you are the first school to get a visit and the player takes multiple subsequent visits, that does not bode well for your chances in the long run. If we want to use the example of Luke Buklenko, the most recent Stanford transfer, of which Bill Bedenbaugh has now taken 3 in the last 3 years, with Rouse being the other. Luke Buklenko he took the visit to Oklahoma and shut it down. He was supposed to visit Illinois, and I believe he was supposed to visit Michigan State as well. Shut it down. Didn't need to see anything else. He was done. So you got to play the long game at this point with Jake Michaela. And got to hope that you left a strong enough impression that it's not going to wane on him throughout the 4 visits that are to come. That's a lot to ask.
It is a hard ask. I think what ultimately is going to be the determining factor is playing time. He's a grad transfer. He's going to want to play in his last year of eligibility. So whether he gets that at North Carolina, or Syracuse. By the way, Oklahoma does have a path for him to play.
Yes, they do.
I mean, the incumbent center is not the greatest thing the world has ever seen. And that's no offense to Troy Everett because he's solid when he's healthy. But it's not as if he cannot be usurped as the starting center. So that possibility remains. But I think if he's going to see a path forward where there's more playing time at a UCLA or at a Syracuse or at North Carolina, he's probably going to take it. And by the way, more power to you. You paid your dues.
Mm-hmm. Off topic, Sooner Bump said, Devon Mitchell will be successful when he unseats Joey Chestnut on the 4th of July.
Good Lord.
Oh, it's just unfortunate that Devon Mitchell came to town as the most highly regarded tight end signee that Oklahoma had since Jermaine Gresham, and his legacy is going to be defined by all of the fat jokes that will be made at his expense by denizens of the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line for years to come.
I mean, this is some Eddie Lacy type stuff.
Yep. Okay, getting back to recruiting here. Another surprise visitor on Saturday, and I know you guys talked yesterday about Cooper Hackett, the blue chip offensive tackle from Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, whom I think Oklahoma's in a really good spot with early, although they're going to have to hold off all comers because everybody's going to want that kid. He's already got Oregon and Notre Dame and Penn State. He's going to camp at Texas that they will likely offer. So they're going to have to hold off the entire field for Cooper Hackett, which I think they can do. But the other very, very notable visitor on Saturday was 4-star safety Donovan Webb out of Frisco, Texas, Panther Creek High School. Now, I will be honest. I talked to Donovan Webb several days before his visit to OU, and he did not mention that he had an OU visit coming up. So that had to have been a spur-of-the-moment thing. the two schools that he mentioned that have been setting the tone in his recruitment, and have been, to the best of my knowledge, are Ohio State and LSU. But for better or worse, and there have been cases in the past where the OU staff has felt great about a kid that they wound up not getting, and there have been times when they felt great about a kid and they wind up getting his commitment. Now, this is why you try to gauge it from all angles when you're covering it. But people on the OU end feel pretty dang confident in their odds to reel in Donovan Webb. Even with Ohio State and LSU heavily in the mix. And so it's an objectively good sign, to that point, that he's showing up on a random Saturday to watch a practice. Spur of the moment, unexpected, boom, there he is. Always great to see that for a guy that's a borderline top 100 player in the nation. And then, yesterday, the Sooners hosted another key defensive back target in the 2026 class, a guy that just very recently picked up his offer. I don't think much more than a week ago. Danny Odom, 3-star cornerback, not to be confused with current Oklahoma wide receiver commit Daniel Odom. No, Danny Odom, a 3-star cornerback from the state of Florida, who was at one time committed to the University of North Carolina, pre-Bill Belichick. He was on campus with Oklahoma. By the way, accompanying him was a high school teammate, Devon Jackson, who's a top 200 player in the country and is committed to the University of Florida as a safety. So that's an interesting little wrinkle to the Danny Odom visit. I don't necessarily know that I feel Oklahoma's going to seriously contend to flip Devon Jackson, but getting Danny Odom and Donovan Webb on campus in the span of 48 hours, that'll play.
Sounds good to me. Here's the thing with Donovan Webb, though. By the way, excellent player. Can provide versatility as a punt returner as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can run some gadget stuff with him offensively as well. I think you'll be able to if you get him. So he just spontaneously woke up and was like, I kind of want to go to Norman. I mean, that's a pretty good sign. Regardless of what he told you that Ohio State and LSU are right now the top two. The fact that he woke up one Saturday or Sunday morning and said, you know what I want to do? I want to drive up from Frisco, Texas to Oklahoma. Pretty good sign. That's a pretty good sign.
I mean, not a long drive, but not a short one either.
It's
2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hour drive on a whim. So either one of two things have happened. Either you've made a really good impression or he was just bored out of his mind.
What was the sentiment, I am curious, on the text line yesterday regarding Deuce Gerald's?
That was more of a Friday thing.
Okay. So it was more preview than reaction.
Yes.
Okay.
We did do more preview. We did a little bit of reaction, actually.
What does the text line think about OU and Deuce Gerald's?
They would love to have the depth. And would love to continue getting guys in there that can contribute day one.
Yeah.
Sort of like with Jaden Jackson.
I mean, he's a borderline 5-star defensive lineman.
Right. We had more interaction when we were talking about Jaden O'Neal, and predictably so.
That's understandable. Very understandable.
Do you have anything new on that whole situation?
I do not. I mean, again, I think the next meaningful update we're going to have will come whenever Bo Bentley makes his college decision, at which point it will become very apparent what the outcome is going to be with Jaden O'Neal. But Deuce Gerald's, to me, this is just the vibe I get, man. This one screams heartbreaker. This feels like, and there are always a couple of those every single cycle, right? Big time player that OU's right there, heavy in the mix for, and then they wind up going somewhere else. They have OU on their final cut list, and they wind up picking another school. That's just the sense I get. That's my sixth sense, if you will, with Deuce Gerald's. It may be right. It may not. Oklahoma is a major contender in this race, and they have been for a while. But I don't know, man. Something about the whole Deuce Gerald's recruitment just has me skeptical that it actually comes together in Oklahoma's favor.
Interesting.
His offer sheet is a who's who. You know, like he
We-
has every,
we did
he
go-
has
we went
every
through
offer
that.
in the country. Yeah. Puerto Rican Sooner says, so it screams DJ Hicks. Listen, I'll cover recruiting for hopefully decades, and I will probably never see another recruitment like DJ Hicks's, and I will probably never see another recruitment like Peyton Bowen's. But yeah, I don't get great vibes with Deuce Gerald's right now. We'll see, I guess. We got the rest of the week to talk about all of that and so much more, and we will do that. Same time, same place, tomorrow here on Locked In. For Grayson Singleton, I'm Parker Thune. Thanks for coming along for the ride with us on this Tuesday afternoon. Up next is The Rush, featuring Teddy Lehman and Machine Gun McComas. We'll see you again tomorrow afternoon, everybody. Take it easy.